Hey, hey, I'm Michelle,
And I'm Ronald,
and this is Talking Squirrels.
the Middle School Ministry Podcast. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, Ronald.
You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. We're pushing through. We do kickoffs, all that kind of fun stuff. How's your
Does it
week
seem
been?
like is fall kind of setting in for you? You get in your flow, or what's going? Or like, is it still new?
It's brand new still. We had
Yeah.
it was our first meeting, so it's crazy, it's wild. So we're hoping
I saw-
next week.
Yeah, I saw some cool Instagram pictures coming down on your Instagram account. What youth men mish?
Youth Men Mish.
Yeah, no,
This is what we do.
I saw some cool stuff coming down.
Yeah.
This looks like y'all are having fun.
Yeah, it's been good. I finished up my 3 years here.
Yes.
Entering my 4th year of youth ministry, so that's kind of fun. So
wait, so you're coming into your 4th year of
Yeah.
ministry there? Nice. Let's see. I'm at year 6. Oh, what's today? I'm at year 6 today. Hey,
Woo!
happy anniversary.
Happy 6 years.
Yeah, well, thanks. This is actually funny. The guy who replaced me at the church I worked with.
Yeah.
And it was a picture of the day we left. Like, we had our party. And it was really funny because it was like him looking really young and me looking even younger. I'm like, oh man, this is the day it happened. Yeah. So I don't know. It's cool to look back and to think about where we've been, but it's been a good 6 years.
That's
I'm looking
awesome.
forward to some more time here.
I think that's really big too. Like, isn't the average 2 years
It's
or something
bad.
like that?
Yeah, the average. I've in being here 6 years, I have outlasted the combined total of the last 3 middle school pastors.
That's insane.
Isn't it though? Something has to be you have to have a good grip on healthy practices in order to last in ministry, right?
Oh yeah.
You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your students in a healthy way. You have to take care of your team. That's stuff that matters. That's stuff you're passionate about.
This is something that, not only have I studied, but it's something that I personally had to go through and learn in hard ways.
How were you thrust into this learning environment? How did you have to go through this?
When I was 18, I got diagnosed with major depressive disorder and a generalized anxiety disorder. And that was really big, just personally for me. Didn't really know how to accept having a diagnosis and stuff like that. So
to be labeled with depression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a lot of just, growing up, and a lot of it came down to, well, a lot of things. But so once I kind of worked through a lot of that, I was doing counseling, and then I was off and on for a really long time. I went off my meds for a while. And then I think in college was when I finally was like, okay, I need to actually do something about this, because it was kind of going through these cycles of I was self-harming. I was getting really bad suicidal thoughts. I was, at one point when I graduated, I ended up in the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
With panic attacks. And
yeah,
it was just all around these things of oh my gosh, my life is a mess and I'm not taking care of myself. And I had a lot of people that were telling me hey, you need to start taking care of yourself, or hey, I don't think you're,
Oh, they saw it.
Oh, they totally saw it. And they called me out a lot on it. Because I would push away a lot. Where I was like
denial push away, or I can handle this.
Oh, I can totally handle this. I'm fine. And at that time, I was working full time, going to school full time, all this kind of stuff.
Great recipe for mental health.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad. And looking back now, I'm I need to help people not do what I did.
So with all of what you've experienced, which is a lot, at 18, pivotal moment in your life, at graduating college, another big step, when you look at middle school students, well, okay, halving it up. Yeah. Right. So when you look at middle school students, what are your thoughts when you're looking at them and thinking about their mental health?
I just want to tell them how important they are. and how much I love them
Yeah.
so often. But I think it's interesting because even looking at some of my middle schoolers, I can easily tell which ones are going to struggle.
Really?
Yes. Um,
Is it that they have a personality or a look of, or this, you can identify your own, like,
there's a lot of them that show signs early.
ah,
Yeah. So a lot of, especially in the Bay Area too, um, one of the
yeah,
big
you've
things
talked about
we
it's
talk about
like
is
super stressful.
anxiety.
Yeah.
And that like is just sweeping the nation basically.
Hmm.
And that's a big thing. That's like a whole other topic of one of the things I talk to my middle schoolers about is the differences between anxiety and stress.
Ooh,
Because I think they've covered up a lot of the word of stress with anxiety.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that for
Oh,
sure.
right. Yeah. But there's a lot of them that I'm like, I can see them slowly kind of sinking down into a depression.
Hmm.
And a lot of that has to do with, as we talked about, like social media. And a lot of it is parents too who are working full time and are not really home. And so the
Hmm.
kids just kind of by themselves a lot.
Yeah.
And so those are like certain kids that I definitely look out for. And I'm absolutely like making sure I'm going and talking to them every time they're here and sitting with them and making them laugh, trying to do that, make them realize like, hey, this is your home. This is a space for you to feel safe and allow them to like basically word vomit
Yeah.
anything they're feeling.
Hmm.
And that's partially like the counselor in me from like all of the psych stuff of like, yeah, I learned how to be that person, right?
Yeah.
And so
What? No, that's awesome. What would you then tell a like a middle school pastor who's looking at a kid and is going, you know what, I think the student is showing signs of depression. Like what would be your advice to them?
my first thing would be who has the better relationship with that student?
Huh.
Do you as the pastor do or when you're leaders? Like who's that kid
Hmm.
kind of going towards more so, honestly, because that's who they're going to open up to more. Because even as a
And so
pastor,
you
like there's certain kids that will not come talk to me, but they will absolutely talk to their leader.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
No, and that's multiplying leadership, right? That's the best kind of way.
Yeah, that's exactly what we should be working towards, right? And so
Hmm.
even for that youth leader, for that pastor, whoever it is that is in charge of kind of that student, so to say, is the best thing that you can do for that child is to continue to show up. Continue to be a
And just
consistent person that they know is going to be there.
so like listen whenever they talk, like, and don't just listen with like, half an ear, but like full engagement kind of thing.
Absolutely. Like a student can easily tell if a person is being authentic, right?
Oh yeah, they have a BS meter for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. And so they're going to know if you're just there because like somebody asked you to talk to them.
Hmm.
But they're going to know somebody's like looking you in the eye, or like for me with the girls, I usually try and either put like a hand on like their shoulder or a hand on like their arm or something and let them know like, hey, like I'm here, like it's okay. Because they usually start
Yeah.
crying if I start talking to them. That's
Mm.
just a thing.
But it's not a bad thing for them to cry.
Absolutely not. I encourage it.
Yeah.
I think God gave us tears. I think God absolutely gave us emotions for reasons.
100%.
And as teenagers, like especially middle schoolers, like they don't even have the words to put the emotions that they're feeling.
Mm.
And so how do we
So
then come alongside of them and help them understand the feelings that they don't know exist?
yeah. So at what point do you involve other help? Like, at what point do you let the parents know, hey, I'm seeing these signs? At what point do you say, hey, I think your kid would benefit from counseling, or maybe, a professional opinion?
Yeah.
What do you do?
That's a huge question, right? That's a lot of everyone's question of like, okay, when do I take it more seriously?
Hmm.
And I've had ones where it's after one conversation, I had to reach out to parents and be like, hey, this is serious.
This is serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's other times where it's been like, a steady couple of months, we keep the conversation going. And then I'll start seeing them kind of dip a little bit lower. And that's usually when I'll invite a parent into the conversation. Usually it's
Yeah.
just me and them at that point.
Sure.
But depending on the student and like your relationship with the family as well, I may even ask the student, I'm like, hey, you need to talk to your parent about this.
And like put the ball in their court.
Absolutely put the ball in their court. And if it's really serious, I'll often do that first of like, hey, this is something you need to absolutely bring up to your parents. And
Mm.
like, if you're choosing not to do that, then we can either go together and do it. But in like a week, I want to know if you've made any progress.
And then like you're gonna tell the parents, like if they have not by that point.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Mm.
that one you have to be really, really like cautious about depending on what it is. Like if this kid is telling me like, he has a plan of how he wants to commit suicide, or he wants to, he talks about having guns and how he would do certain things, then I'm usually immediately going to the parents.
Right. That's not a let's wait till
Yeah,
you
that's
figure it
something that
out.
I'm like, okay, like, and depending on some, like we've had to have parents call like a 5150 on their kids, or even ask them if like we needed to or anything, because of how severe it can get.
Yeah.
And that's when it
Uh,
gets so difficult.
yeah. Gosh. Okay. So some tips for pastors dealing with students, and we can put like in the show notes some links to, hey, these are some signs of depression,
Absolutely.
and these are some things to look for. But you also bring a great perspective as from the mental health of the youth worker,
Mhm.
like the person in charge. Uh, what advice would you give to people who are the youth pastors and are going through seasons of depression or having a hard time making keeping their mental health in a positive place? What would you say to them?
That I love you and I want to give you a hug,
Mm.
just like my students. Um,
Yeah.
but it's real, and there are often times when I have like called into work because I'm texting my boss. I'm like, it's not a good day.
Mm.
Like
You
to where I
you need
just
to take a
cannot get
mental
out of
health day.
bed
Yeah.
because I just can't do it. Um,
Yeah.
and so like they're acknowledging that those things happen is really good, I think.
No,
Um,
yeah.
and I think also like when that does happen, letting your like that's your I honestly think that it's often letting your body tell you something that you need to know. Like,
Mm.
hey, there's something else going on right now
Yeah.
that's causing either the anxiety or causing kind of like this depression. And being able to find out what that is really big, because you can find tools and resources and things that you can do for when you start feeling that, to kind of
Yeah,
counteract
and
it.
you can head off your triggers, right? You
Totally.
can begin to understand, "Oh, okay, my body's telling me this,
Yeah,
therefore I need to adjust this way."
totally. And I think a big thing too is like, if you know already that like, let's say you have depression or anxiety. For
Hmm.
me, like I had to accept the fact that like I'll never go without meds again. I will just always have to have them.
Right.
And I think
Science is not a bad thing.
science is not a bad thing. Oh my gosh. I am so thankful for
Right.
doctors and for science and all of this kind of stuff. But there'll be times um, when I'll forget to take it.
Mm.
And that's when it gets like my mind. I have to leave work usually, because
Oh, if you
I'll start
forget.
having like suicidal thoughts, or I'll start. It's almost like a drug addict not having their drug. It's
Yeah,
like
no, you're
I
you're
like
you're going through
and
withdrawal.
so being really, really careful about being on top of all of that is huge. But
Mhm.
I think a big thing too of like having your people. You have to
Yeah.
have that community around you who like I have a couple of people who I'll meet up with consistently, and they're my people that I can be like, I'm really struggling. And they know exactly like what I need, because they've been with me through a lot of different things throughout the
Mhm.
years.
They know you.
But they
Yeah.
also know who my counselor is.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, it's okay for a youth pastor to have a
I
counselor,
think
like,
it's so
outside the church.
important. I
Yeah.
truly believe that every person should go to counseling at least once.
Well, I mean, it's something that you can figure out. you might figure out some things about yourself you didn't know were a thing until you have somebody who is trained
Yes.
and is talking to you, and you're like, you might find out some real stuff.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. It's almost like refreshing to be like, oh, that's why I do things this way, or oh, that's why I
Mm,
respond to this in that way.
yeah,
And you
yeah.
just are. It's honestly kind of freeing, but I think it's really important for youth pastors to be able to have those people in your life, especially like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so important to have community around you. And I think even like for at our church, I'm pretty sure like they've been so great, and like if one of us needs to like go through some counseling or stuff, they totally help pay for it
Oh, that's
because
awesome.
they know how important it is for us to like
Yeah.
take care of our health so that we can actually be human and, you know, do better.
Well, even the small thing of your church recognizing that a mental health day is worth a sick
Yes,
day, and being like, okay, you don't need to like have the flu to not be here. Like, you need to reset, and that's worth a
absolutely.
day. Like, that's worth your time. Like, to be like, nope, today is
Yeah.
not a good day.
And it's even important, like, as pastors, like, you have to take a day off. Like, you need
Yes.
this for your own health, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Like, you have to have it.
Hmm.
And setting those boundaries of like turning your email off, not responding to anything, like, you have to take a full day off.
Yeah. And then knowing when that one full day is not enough, being okay to take
Yep.
the next day.
And I think we talked about this too of taking
Because
regular vacations,
yeah,
having that time to just go
like,
and either be with your family or be with the people that re energize you, like having that time to recharge and figure out how you can come back to being your emotionally, physically, spiritually healthy person.
well, even planning for it. I mean, like, hey, this season's going to be super tough. Like, I know after this retreat is over, I'm going to be so worn out. I need to plan a vacation or some extra days right
Yeah.
here, and this is what I'm going to do, so I can have that in my mind, so that I'm looking forward to that before I get into the craziness of the
Yeah.
season.
And I think even one last thing of finding other pastors to fellowship with, because
Word.
they're going to understand a lot of the struggles that you're facing in ministry, and they've probably been there as well.
Yeah, yeah, and even if they maybe not have been diagnosed by somebody as someone who has struggled with this, like, they know what it's like to have really, really, really hard
Absolutely.
days.
To where you just want to give up,
And
right?
somebody not in the ministry is not going to feel the weight
Yeah.
of that
Like
as
ask,
much. No, that's
yeah,
good advice.
absolutely. And if you don't have those people, like ask God to bring those people into your life.
Ooh,
Absolutely. And even like, gosh, even through the DYM group, like I love watching people just encourage one another.
yeah. I think I saw the other day, like, somebody saying, posting on the DYM community, uh, if yesterday was rough, message me. I'd love to pray
Yeah,
for you.
it's little things like that, right? And then that just,
Yeah.
I just love that because we need people who are willing to come alongside of us, to walk with us, pray for us, hold us accountable, and honestly just check in on your people. If they haven't,
And I love that the internet's made that easier.
yes, yeah,
Now, Michelle, A, I'm thankful for
I'm
you,
thankful for you.
like, you individually, but also I am thankful for your journey, because I think you give a really great perspective. Mental health is an important thing. We as pastors need to be aware of our students' mental
Mhm,
health and watching out for signs of when they are not in healthy places. But also, we as pastors need to be aware of our own mental health,
totally,
because if we're not, then we will not be as effective as ministers. And that's it, even to the point of we may not be in ministry anymore because it's taken a toll
yeah.
on us. And so I'm really thankful for the perspective that you bring and the advice that you're able to give. I know I am learning from you. So thank
Oh,
you,
thank
Michelle.
you. And to anybody out there that is listening, like, please feel free to contact me if you have questions. Like, if you're dealing with your own things, like, I would love to talk with you and just
Mm,
hear some of your thoughts and how you've helped students or how you've even, come out of things yourself.
Instagram
Youth
Youth
and
Men
me.
Mish. Hit her up.
Obviously, this is a heavy topic, but something that we are very passionate about. So, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you as a youth worker. Take care of yourself, and we will talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.